Hey guys, this is Troy from Cape Ann Conversations, and I've got Marcy with me today, Cape Ann Compass Life and Wellness Coach. Marcy, we're going to take a little bit of a step back and have you tell everybody how you got started in this, what the business is, and then we're going to kind of get into who you work with. Sound
Awesome.
good?
Awesome. So excited to be here. Thank you for having me. Cape Ann Compass Life and Wellness Coaching was started because I had a very good friend of mine say to me, "You need to coach, Marcy. You need to touch people. You need to help change people's lives. You need to motivate people. You need to hold people accountable." And I believe sort of through that thought process that I realized that I was always a coach. I coached field hockey. I coached softball. I was on a spin bike coaching. And I just kind of realized that, like, I'm here to motivate people and make people feel great. And so I left my previous job. And through that, I found Cape Ann Compass. And it has been fantastic. I decided to call it Cape Ann Compass Life and Wellness Coaching because that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted people to live their best life through the best wellness that they can have. And being on Cape Ann, I figured, why not?
So I agree that you've probably been coaching people forever, and you have been a literal coach of athletes. When did the business itself, the formal Cape Ann Compass, come to fruition?
About 4.5 years ago.
Okay.
The business came from that.
Right.
Yeah.
What was your business before that? It was...
I managed a health club.
Okay. So you have a health and wellness background. This has been a career for you.
It's been a career for me, yes. In college, I was an athletic trainer. And then from college, I went and I managed a health club and a guest services program at the Westin Hotel in Boston, which totally kind of led me down my life and wellness health career. And then was a kindergarten teacher for a little while. And then I found myself in the health club industry, which I loved, and I learned a tremendous amount. And here I am, life coach.
Here you are. Not a therapist.
Not a therapist, Troy. Not a therapist.
So don't come with your therapy needs. We're talking about improving, finding, and getting to your best self. Is that kind of how you would say?
Exactly. I always say, let's find your best self. Let's do this together. So, people often ask me, what's the difference between life coaching and therapy? And so I always respond with a very simple answer. I'm very much result driven, right? I want you to be with me. My program, Troy, is about 12 weeks, 3 months, 90 days, however you want to look at it. And we have a starting point and we have an ending point. And as a life coach, I do not prescribe any medication. And I don't always dig into your past about why you feel a certain way you do or how come you're feeling this way, what someone did to you. It all surfaces and we acknowledge it, we forgive it, we say goodbye to it, and then we move through it. We don't move around it. We move directly through it with a result that you're going to show up better than you started.
Give me some examples of people that you're working with today. Just because everybody listening to this is immediately trying to say, like, is this for me? Is this not for me? Like, give me some examples, like the gamut.
Okay. First of all, I would say everybody needs a life coach because we are not meant to do life ourselves, right? We all need someone cheering us on, in our corner, rooting us on, because life can be hard, really hard. No matter what stage or phase you're in, life is hard. And I think when we acknowledge the hardness, right? And that we shouldn't be doing this by ourselves, and we can do it with someone helping us. It just makes it better, more fun. It just makes your goals seem so much more attainable.
My favorite part of you is the accountability part.
I love it.
I think I think the hardest thing that people have in life is being accountable to someone, and it's not like your partner. It's not like your wife holding you accountable
Right.
or your husband holding you accountable. Those people, they're not sick of holding you accountable, but they give you too much rope.
Yeah.
And
Your
so-
rope's like this with me.
yeah, your accountability factor is
Yeah.
really like a key thing to like reaching goals and creating better new habits, right?
Right.
Was it 21 days to make a habit? It's 90 days, you know what I mean, to make
90
a habit,
days to get the results with
to
me.
get the results.
So, I have a client that's 14 years old, amazing athlete, very, very smart. Parents are driving him crazy. Social friends are difficult, right? But yet he knows he can be more. So we do a lot of work on communication. How do you communicate with your parents? How do you show up on the field as that star football player? What does that feel like? How do you carry that, right? Then I have my 20-somethings, which are fantastic. My kids that are going off to college that need some accountability, some guidance. The college process, how do I do that? Where do I figure out and how do I become who I'm supposed to be through this process with the pressure of, grades and parents and teachers and all this craziness? I have my people that have been divorced that now get to start over. And I say get to start over, right? Like, let's find what went wrong and who you get to show up as now versus who you used to be and who you thought you should be. And then I have my 93-year-old fabulous friend that just got remarried. So that's awesome.
So it really does spread the gamut. How
Right.
far do you travel? Do you cover a wide distance? Is it all virtual? Do you meet with people in person mostly? How does it work best for you?
So that's the greatest part about my job is I can meet you anywhere. It can be on Zoom. So I have people all over the United States. We can do some walking therapy or we can do some hiking therapy. I have a client that I meet and we just walk up and down the boulevard. We go to the beach. Or we can just come to my beautiful space that I've created in my home that is very peaceful. Outdoor space and an indoor space that just kind of settles you to where you're supposed to be so we can work through what we're talking about.
Okay, so everybody listening to this is thinking this. What does it cost? Everybody's like, man, sure, I want to be better, but
Do I want to
do I wanna-
invest?
do I want to pay for it? It's like, yeah, maybe it'll unlock something and it'll pay for itself, but like, what are we talking about here? Like, to try to unlock yourself.
hmm
What's an equivalent?
So, do you go out to dinner?
Oh my God! If me and my wife will go to Machaca, we'll crush some tacos. Blue Marlin's a big fave.
Yeah.
There's not a better chicken marsala in the country. So yeah,
Okay, you can afford me
there you so
a dinner
you
for
said
two.
12 weeks.
12 weeks. Yeah.
This is typical. Like this is how it sort of starts. It doesn't have to be typical.
Nope, it does not have to be at all typical.
So for the price of a dinner for 12 weeks, and then what happens?
So then many times, honestly, people love it, right? They love the accountability. They love the communication. They love the homework that I give them. They love the podcast that I send, the inspirational stuff weekly that I send, that they might end at 12 weeks. And then they circle back and they're like, oh, I miss this. And I miss being able to show up because you're holding yourself to a very high standard to create who you're supposed to be in this life and to continuously change, right? If we're not changing and we're not improving ourselves, who are we? We need that.
And so they might come back after that for another round or a monthly or something.
Monthly, absolutely.
But you don't
yeah.
have to.
No.
You
not
do
at all.
maybe you reached your goal. Maybe it's a weight loss goal.
Mm-hmm.
Because you seem to there is some correlation to mental wellness and health wellness, like being active and all that stuff. But what are people primarily coming in for? I don't want to pigeonhole it though, because it's like everybody has their own things that they're trying to, but like, what is it? Is it weight loss? Is it getting a new job? Just like getting out of the funk?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So Cape Ann Compass has 4 pillars. I deal with the life and the wellness coaching, and that could be someone coming to see me that is changing jobs, an athlete that's applying to college, an athlete that maybe has had a little situation with coaching, and we need to untwist the mindset of you're good, right? And you can be as best that you can be on the field, off the field. It could be someone that is just feeling lazy, the blues, and just cannot get motivated. Um, and then I also have part of my other pillar is Green Compass, which is a CBD company, which is a hemp wellness company, botanical. And we all know that plants heal. So people that need balance, anxious thoughts, having trouble sleeping, premenopause, pain, I do a whole routine with hemp wellness. And then I also have a beautiful skincare product that is made in Germany from the olive tree. And it makes you pop. It makes you glow. It makes you feel so good. So with those and the weight wellness, the weight loss, you really are like, I'm a one-stop shop is what I say. Whatever you need, I can make sure that you're feeling your absolute best. But it's important, Troy, to know that people come to me. If you come to me for weight loss, I'm not going to say like, oh my God, you need life coaching. If you come to me for life coaching, I'm not going to say like, oh my God, you need to balance yourself better and you need CBD. So it's really interesting what people find.
Yeah, there is a correlation to looking good to feeling good.
Absolutely.
And if you're glowing, you're gonna emit that in like other aspects of your life.
Totally. And people want what you have, right? People want to feel good. You walk into a room, you want to be that person that people walk up to. You want to be that person that has the energy. I find it really kind of interesting because I think I'm the same person that as a coach and as a person and as a friend. But evidently, Marcy's 2 different people, and I have that ability to change and have the energy through my coaching business, but also not come on like strong and that I can sometimes be.
So it takes a special person to hold people accountable, right? to get people through to the results. Mm-hmm. What do you think it is that gives you the authority to coach someone else, especially a stranger?
Right.
Because I applaud you because it's a tough job, number one. But there's definitely somebody that's going to sit there and they're going to say like, why do you get to assume this to be the result that I need? What is it? Because we talked about this, right. and I like this.
So I have I've had clients that basically said, "Oh, what makes you think that you can help me?" Right? So first of all, I'm very result driven, right? We have a plan, and that plan changes based upon what your needs are through that time frame that we're working together. I always tell people, and I'm going to tell everyone my secret right now. I'm like, take me to your car. So if you were to call me, Troy, and you're like, Mars, I'm interested in becoming better. We would meet, we'd set up, our time. Our time is always based upon my client and when they're their best. I had a client that we were meeting at 9:00 in the morning, and I was beginning to tell her, I don't think I'm your coach, right? I don't think that I'm your right person. And she said to me, well, I don't like 9:00 in the morning. I'm like, then why are we meeting at 9:00 in the morning, right? Why are we not meeting when you're your best? So we moved her to 3:00 and she's great. So for me to hold people accountable and for me to feel like I am good at what I do, I always start my clients off. I'm like, take me to your car, Troy. Let's go to your car. So Troy takes me down to his car, and I instantly have this feeling of where your head is at. If you have wrappers in Starbucks and wrappers in your car and garbage in your car and your gym bags in the back and your water bottles up front, there's a sneaker in the back and a sneaker in front. I see all this. I'm like, okay, I know where you and I need to go. We need to settle you down first and get you a little organized and take care of the clutter and hold you accountable for that. And then I have some clients, Troy, that I know the minute I look in their car, all right, you're a little anxious and you're a little uptight and you keep things a little bit too perfect. So now we need to like mix you up a little bit. Um, so I guess to answer your question, what holds me accountable and what makes me think that I can do this in the state of Massachusetts, you do not have to be licensed. And that blew my mind when I found that out because I thought, I'm dealing with people's lives. I'm dealing with people's futures. We're saying goodbye to people's past that no longer serve them. How can someone not be certified? So I went to school, got my certification in life and health coaching, which therefore turns into wellness for me. And I think with my past of coaching field hockey and softball and spinning and doing all this other motivational stuff, it kind of put me right in the place of like, okay, I can hold you accountable and I can coach you, cheer you on, whatever you might need, teach you lessons and theories to help. I often say that we develop a toolbox, right? You bring your toolbox and let's fill it up with all these tools. So when you're done, you just open up that toolbox and you pick out the pause theory, or you pick out the let them theory, or you pick these things out because you've learned them and you've practiced them while we've been working together.
Do you find that there's going to be like a portion of the like you can't work with everybody. You're just one person, but
I want to.
there's a portion of the population that's just going to be like, not for me. Maybe it's middle-aged men, come to mind as one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, you just kind of like, I got to be tough.
Right.
I got to just take it on. I got to do this. I got to do that. Or a mom that's like, I'm busy. I'm a busy mom. That's the only problem I have is I'm just a busy mom.
Right. And I would challenge that. I'd be like, you're not just a busy mom. You're not just that middle-aged guy. You're more than that, right? You have something else that you're supposed to be doing, whether it be relationship-driven, whether it be habit-driven, whether it be boundaries, setting boundaries. We have to constantly be changing. And in order to change, we have to recognize what our weaknesses are so we can, again, move through them. My clientele is men and women. And I love working with the men because they want someone to hold them accountable and to coach them that's not their wife, that's not their mother, right? That they can bounce things off of. And many times my male clients, they say, oh my God, my marriage is better. My relationships are better. I'm better at work because they have just unlocked that one special little thing within them that they just needed to be recognized.
Who is an ideal customer for you? I know you say everyone, but like, give me some examples of some of the people you've worked with successfully recently.
Oh gosh. This is a really fabulous thing. I have a company that has hired me to work with two of their employees. Their employees were the manager that owns the company really felt that their employees could be more, could do more. And if with a little bit of accountability and coaching and kind of trying to figure out their own personal stuff. So that has been an unbelievable challenge, and a gift for me is to be brought into a company and work with employees. And now the phone calls back is, what'd she tell me? It was like, I don't know, 85% more because they're happier. They're inflexing their voice, the way they're talking to customers. Like, it's a happier place. And so this owner's like, this is unbelievable.
That's a really good investment.
Right? It's great. Invest in your employees. And I do it individually, but the return on the value is huge.
Is it like a sales role or is it like customer service? Is it leadership?
I can't say with the name of the company, but it is customer service, it's leadership, and it's totally sales. And so, you call and you answer the person you get on the phone, you want them to have energy. You want them to feel, you want to buy what they're selling. And so that's been fantastic. That was something new for me this year. And that has been great. So I have that type of clientele that I deal with. I also have a fabulous senior student she's been with me for 3 years. Her growth is unbelievable. And I've just become part of their family, Troy, to be honest with you.
Do you feel like that's driven from the parent or from the kid? How did they find you?
It was first driven from the parent. My child needs help. And then now it's totally driven by her. So she sets up her own appointments. We have what we're going to talk about, what we're going to work about. Because she's been with me for 3 years, we have a lot. We've gone through a lot. But now I also have the availability to be available for the family. So we sometimes have family staff meetings just to help with the communication, right? And to the way you're talking to me, what you're saying to me, Troy, and the way I'm hearing it are two different things. And when you're dealing with these beautiful young minds, you want to make sure that they have the tools to communicate with everybody.
Yeah, these high performing kids are going in a lot of directions too. I mean, they're like even my own kids, they're playing sports 7 days a week.
Yes.
They're in National Honor Society trying to keep their grades up. They're trying to study for SATs. They might have jobs. They're juggling more things than their own parents.
Exactly.
And they're not really even fully developed. And they're kind of like they don't realize it, but they're also a little socially awkward. They're still trying to figure out
Right.
being social in like technically the most social weird time when you reflect on it as an adult looking back. It's
So true. So many times what I do is I become like the family. I become part of the family, right? And I do have confidentiality. Like I cannot break confidentiality. That's part of being certified. So I always ask permission if I find that there's something that we need to talk about within the family. I always ask my client permission. And sometimes really, Troy, they become relief. They're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Marcy's going to talk to my mom and my dad about this, right? So that's awesome. I also have a fabulous client that is going through a hard, rough patch. She just got divorced and she's like, I am not upset about being divorced. I'm upset that I haven't been showing up myself for the last 20 years. How can I get her? How can I get after her? Right? So I always say my logo is, I see you, I hear you, I believe you, let's go, like, let's do this. And so that's powerful for this client to be like, I've been like this, I can get here, and let's do it. So it's I don't really have a typical client. I know that many times people say to me, Marcy, you need to have a niche, you need to, and I'm like, oh, I don't want that. That's too restrictive for me.
Yeah, because you're really looking for your niches. You're looking for somebody that's admitted to themselves that they want to try to do some sort of improvement or bettering or high performance or something. Because if you're not really motivated to do that, you're not gonna put in the work, right? Like it's not like you're gonna go to the gym for them, or it's not like you're going to make them go out and find a new job if their job is really ruining their life or whatever it is. They still have to put in the work. You just get to hold them accountable, and you get to create the game plan, and you get to come from a place of experience for them.
I like to say, I'm going back to the toolbox analogy, right? We're creating a toolbox for you for the rest of your life. Through our work, through your homework, through activities that we do, because we're just not always sitting talking, right? We're making vision boards. We're doing a you, like who are you? Who do you want to become? So many times it can be hands-on. Many times it can be more than just talking. And so you actually walk away with a toolbox, some are heavier than others, of all these magical accountability tools that you hold yourself accountable for. And I find that once someone knows how to hold themselves accountable, they hold themselves accountable because they like that feeling.
How are people finding? I'm imagining it's mostly word of mouth. People finding you right now.
It's social media and word of mouth. I've been really lucky because I've been doing some lecture series at the Gloucester Library. So we've been talking about habits. We've been talking about boundary setting. We've been talking about purpose and passion. We've been talking about how to get after your dream. Like, how do you actually have this dream that you think is so out of control, but how do we get you there? So that's been fantastic for me. I've also done some things at the YMCA as far as lectures and public speaking and motivation. So I am completely word of mouth. I do have a private Facebook page that I invite people to. That's a recipe page. That's a motivational page. And my Instagram is really how I get my clients.
What's that like? If somebody was curious about like and now they know about you because they're listening to this podcast and they're sharing this podcast and they're liking this podcast and they're telling people about this podcast
and they want to work with me
and they're following the social media, all of those things, people, please, to support the business, Um, what's that first interaction like with you? Like, should they just call you? Should they like set up a meeting, like a risk-free meeting to be like, hey, like, I heard you on that podcast. I just want to talk to you and see if we're a good fit. Like,
Right.
how does that work?
So that's exactly it, because it has to be a good fit. We have to be able to work together. We have to be able to understand each other and find mutual ground. Definitely, I've worked with people that our energies are off, our personalities are different, but the end result, we work together and we can get you there. So normally what happens is I have a 15 or 20-minute conversation with them on the phone. I can sort of tell, they can sort of tell. We meet for the first time, and that first meeting is always like, who do you want to become? Where do you want to go? What do you have to say goodbye to? What's your vision? What's your dreams? What's your passion? What's your purpose? And sometimes they know, sometimes they don't know. And then that's where we start. And then if that feels good to both of us, it has to feel good to both of us, then we start the journey of bettering your health and bettering your life and finding who you really are supposed to be today.
Yeah, for the price of a dinner.
Right, for a price of a dinner. And Troy, I think the most important thing is I love what I do. I feel that I'm gifted. I'm personally supported by families, friends, and the community that give me the strength to be able to do what I do.
Who holds you accountable?
Oh God, who holds me accountable? I have coaches myself. I mean, every coach needs a coach, right? Just like every human needs a coach in my life. So I find that I lean in frequently because the energy that I extend and the energy that I give needs to be filled too.
Yeah, you got to fill your own cup.
Right.
I'm sure you have to detox too from, like, you can't take other people's problems personally yourself. And maybe that's the wrong terminology I'm using, but because you could carry other people's baggages throughout your whole day too, and that wouldn't be great.
No, so it's interesting you should say that because I have a routine. So normally our sessions are 45 minutes to an hour. And so I have a routine I do beforehand and a routine I do after I meet with you. And one of the exercises that I have my clients do is I always have them start off with every day, give yourself, how do you want to feel today? How do you want to feel at the end of the day? So I have them high-five themselves. So before I meet with you, I go into the bathroom, or I go in my car rearview mirror, and I'm like, go get him, Marcy. And I give myself a high five, and I say, you're a rock star. You're going to feel like a rock star today. And then that's how I start myself to get ready for your session. And then after our sessions, I give myself that same high five, and I'm like, you're doing the work, you're changing lives. And that is my mindset to like get myself ready for you, but also to detox myself from the information that you and I have exchanged. And it works. And you're absolutely correct. I do not carry my client stuff with me. I just help them move through it.
All right. So where should people find you? How do they book that onboarding call, if you will?
I love it. So they can call me, number one, easily.
Do you give me a phone number right now?
Sure. Are you ready? You ready to change your life? Here we go. Let's go.
See,
I
hear,
see
believe.
You. Right. I see, I hear, I believe you. Okay. So if in fact you just want to talk to me, right? Like this podcast sparked something in you and you're like, oh, reach out. Marcy Plante, 978-758-8825.
Or text.
Or text me. I love texts. That's the first thing. Second thing is my Instagram is Marcy Plante or Cape Ann Compass. And you can also find me on my Facebook with both of those handles.
There you go.
And I would encourage everyone, just trust yourself. Trust yourself that you deserve something different. And also, another quick note, I also work with people that already feel that they're great, right? That they already feel that like, oh, I feel good. I'm in a good part in my life. And that's really when we can really get into the work of making sure that you continue to live X amount of years showing up your best self.
Yeah, if you're like an entrepreneur and
Totally.
you're maybe killing it right now.
Right.
And you're just like, hey, I I got to make sure I don't lose the stride I'm in.
Exactly.
Like,
I got to keep that rhythm. I got to keep that rhythm. So I know we talked a lot today about who needs a life coach, right? And it's always like we think that it's someone that is in need of something. You don't have to be in need of anything. You just want to show up your best.
yeah, you're in tune.
Yeah.
And you're like, I need accountability. I'm going to keep accountability. I'm going to go reach this next goal. I just reached a goal and I'm going to reach the next goal.
Totally. I say to people, you take your car in to get an oil change. You got to you have to get that oil change for yourself, right? No matter where you are, whether you're great, whether you're going through something that you're struggling with, or whether, you're just not showing up and you need the boundaries and you need the patterns and you need to be able to show up your best self. You can be already your best self and still want better.
Last question for
Yeah.
you. Is it always one-on-one? Have you ever done it with, I guess you did it with the corporate, but it's still one-on-one corporate.
Well, the corporate was one-on-one, and yes, I do have 3 women that I do, very good friends, and they do group training, and there has to be an honest commitment within each other. There's no you can't there's a non-judgment zone, basically. And it was 3 friends that were like, we walk every day and we're tired of being each other's therapist. We need help. So I walk with them and and we talk, or we do individuals, but we also then break off and do individual stuff throughout the week, and then they bring their homework back, whatever that may be. Writing yourself a letter. Who do you want your future self to be? Maybe it's a 30, 60, 90-day plan for you, right? And then those friends hold each other accountable, and the group work is magic because now you just don't have me, but you have your other, your tribe.
That's an interesting concept, because I look at some like sports teams, and you've worked with athletes. I look at some sports teams, especially youth sports teams, and I see dysfunction. I see, girls competing with each other when they should be working with each other, or whatever it is, the star athlete boy quarterback, dismissing the up and coming kid. They're younger, and this happens.
Right.
But man, they could almost use like a third party,
right,
to come in, and you hear more about this sports therapist, and I know it's not what you are, but like it's kind of the same idea. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, hey, like we need to come in here and find a good way to like communicate, reach our goals,
right.
Talk to the coach, but not feel intimidated by having to go to the coach with a problem or what.
Yeah.
There could be a little future here. I see it.
Sign me up for that. But yeah, it is true. And I have, I've coached college athletes that, maybe they played lacrosse and then they want to go play rugby. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, how do I make that transition, right? How do I become that person that can do that? Well, learning the communication skills for the coach, learning the communication skills for yourself is huge. And I also really find the magic is when I work with an athlete too, that athlete takes it back to the team and they're like, oh my God, what is she doing? Like, why is she so happy? Why? And it just explodes. So positive attracts positive, always.
Yeah, and having a third party, I think, is key. Sometimes there's just, some people just can't say things to people in their lives for whatever reason.
Yeah.
They're whatever excuse maybe they're giving themselves. And being a third party is kind of a unique little spot, because you can just literally tell somebody something, like matter of factly, like, hey, I know you, but I don't know you.
Right.
This is my job here to say, like, hey, like, that's not right. Like,
that's why I love couple work.
Yeah.
I love being the mediator for couples. Couples don't have to some couples sometimes you're just going through a little rough patch, right? You don't need a therapist. You're not going to get divorced, but you need to come together as one. You need to find that common ground. I love being able to go sit at that kitchen table.
Because you're like, well, maybe if you were just a little less passive-aggressive.
Maybe if you wouldn't say that to her, you might get a little farther.
Exactly. Maybe you did the dishes one more time,
right.
just to help out a little bit.
Or maybe you didn't sit on the couch and you just brought in the groceries. That might be your key.
Yeah. Marcy, your energy is intoxicating. If we put you and Muffy White in the same room, you guys would blow up the room.
Yes, Muffy and I are good friends. Actually, I called Muffy right before this podcast, and I said, I'm going in. So, yeah. And, again, that's the purpose, right? Positive attracts positive. And when you feel that connection with people, you feel that connection with yourself, you can't help but live your best life because it's all about your energy.
Yeah. All right, people. Go give her a call.
Woohoo!
Tell her what's up. Go achieve something this year. There's no reason why you can't.
No, not at all. And I'm here to help you
Exactly.
because I see you, I hear you, I believe you. Let's go.
Let's go. Marcy, Cape Ann Compass, Life and Wellness Coaching. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.